word photoelectric effect describes the process by which electrons are knocked out of a metal surface when illuminated by light. To do this, light must transfer sufficient energy to the electrons to perform the work of leaving the metallic bond. In the classical description of light as an electromagnetic wave, the energy depends on the square of the electric field amplitude E. Regardless of the color of light, the effect would have to start at a certain light intensity. According to Planck's quantum hypothesis, however, light consists of light quanta of energy E equals h times nu, where nu represents the frequency and h the Planck's quantum of action. Light of high frequency or low wavelength should therefore be able to trigger this effect even at low intensity. In 1905, Albert Einstein published 3 groundbreaking papers, one of them on the theoretical explanation of the photoelectric effect by light quanta. In 1921, he received the Nobel Prize in Physics for this. First, a pre-experiment is performed. The setup consists of a zinc plate mounted on an electrometer. If an electric charge is applied to the plate, the electrometer shows a deflection. A PVC rod is charged by friction against a cotton cloth and the charge is transferred to the zinc plate. The electrometer shows a clear deflection, which settles at a fixed value after a short time. Now a mercury vapor lamp is directed at the zinc plate. It can be observed that the deflection of the electrometer decreases within a minute. That is, the charge is reduced. By touching the zinc plate with the hand, it is grounded and completely discharged. Now a glass rod is charged by friction on a cotton cloth and the charge is transferred to a zinc plate. The electrometer again shows a clear deflection. Now a mercury vapor lamp is directed at the zinc plate. It can be observed that the deflection of the electrometer remains unchanged. The charge of the glass rod transferred to the metal cannot be extracted by light. By touching the zinc plate with the hand, it is grounded and completely discharged. Now the PVC rod is charged again by rubbing it against a cotton cloth and the charge is transferred to the zinc plate. The electrometer again shows a deflection. Now a mercury vapor lamp is directed at the zinc plate and an additional plexiglass plate is placed between the lamp and the zinc plate. It can be observed that the deflection of the electrometer remains unchanged. The explanation for this operation is as follows. Rubbing it against the PVC rod charges it negatively, as does the zinc plate and the electrometer. There is an excess of electrons within the system. The mercury vapor lamp now emits photons which hit the surface of the zinc plate. Since it is white light, it consists of photons with different wavelengths and energies. Those photons that have enough energy to release electrons from the metallic bond have a higher frequency and therefore a short wavelength. This is in the UV range. The introduced plexiglass pane filters out most of the UV light and thus prevents the high energy photons from hitting the zinc surface and knocking out electrons. Thus the discharge stops. Rubbing a glass rod charges it positively. When touching the zinc plate, electrons flow from the zinc plate to the glass rod, so that the zinc plate and the electrometer are also positively charged. Since there are no free electrons on the zinc plate, the light of the mercury vapor lamp cannot trigger any when illuminated. The charge, in the form of an electron deficit, remains. The actual experiment consists of a mercury vapor lamp whose light beam hits a wheel with different color filters through a pinhole diaphragm and a lens. Behind it is a photocell. The connected voltmeter indicates the voltage between the anode and cathode of the photocell. The filter causes only individual wavelengths of the light to reach the photocell. The photons then each have a fixed wavelength of the corresponding energy E equals h times nu equals h times c over lambda. This means that the energy decreases as the wavelength increases. Now we gradually select 4 different filter frequencies on the rotary wheel and measure the resulting voltage in the photocell. For lambda equals 578 nanometers, the voltage equals 0.28 volts. For lambda equals 564 nanometers, the voltage equals 0.44 volts. For lambda equals 436 nanometers, the voltage equals 0.98 volts. For lambda equals 405 nanometers, the voltage equals 1.05 volts. The result is shown in the following graph. We observe a linear relationship. If we multiply the measured voltage U by the electron charge E, we get the relation E times U equals H times nu minus W sub A. Nu is the frequency of the irradiated light and W sub A is the work required for the electrons to leave the metal. W sub A depends on the material and the bond strength. The value for Planck's quantum of action can be determined from the straight line gradient. For our measurement, this results in H equals 6.26 times 10 to the power of minus 34 joule seconds. This is very close to the literature value of 6.626 times 10 to the minus 34 joule-seconds. The remarkable result of our experiment is that the color or frequency and not the intensity or the amplitude squared of the electromagnetic wave determines whether the electrons are released from a bond. This observation can be explained in quantum theory with the energy of single photons of E equals h times nu, but not in the wave picture. Therefore, it is a key experiment in quantum theory. The photoelectric effect is used in many areas of today's technology. This includes the use of solar cells for environmentally friendly energy generation, photocells which measure the intensity of light by means of the photoelectric effect, and photoelectron multipliers that register weak light signals and convert them into electrical voltage. Another application is the treatment of diseases in medicine. For example, premature births, in which the liver is not yet fully developed, results in an accumulation of the substance bilirubin in the blood. An unmistakable sign of the so-called baby jaundice is the slightly yellowish skin coloring. The treatment is carried out by phototherapy. The children are exposed to light because the UV component of the light is able to split the bilirubin into other substances through the photoelectric effect, which can be easily broken down.